So, welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast, Katrina. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So, Katrina, tell the listeners about you and your journey into the American dream.
So in April 1975, my family escaped communist Vietnam. My dad was a fisherman. So he basically just felt like our only hope was to escape by boat using his fishing boat. And so he took us out to sea, just hoping that if we're out there, we would get rescued by a humanitarian merchant ship. And that's what happened. And just like there are many stories of boat people like us escaping after the fall of Saigon and the end of the Vietnam War. After we were rescued and brought to the Philippines, we were there for about 5 days. And then eventually we were flown to our first US settlement in Guam. And we were there from 75 to at least July or September of 76, as my sister was born there. Soon after that, we were sponsored by Catholic Charities and brought to New Orleans, Louisiana, where my youngest brother was born. But basically, I grew up with parents who barely spoke and wrote their own language fluently. And they had a hard time learning English. So, trying to assimilate to the culture was very much something I had to do on my own, along with my siblings.
So, you were pretty young at the time, like you were less than 5 or?
I was 14 months old.
Oh, okay, you're a baby.
I
Okay.
was a baby, yeah. And so a lot of the stories growing up was hearing it from my parents and my older siblings.
So, what is the driving force of you becoming a physician?
Well, when I was in Guam, one of the stories I learned growing up was that I was very sick and I had to have emergency surgery in the refugee camp. So that was one of the stories that I felt like it was a second chance of survival. And without, God having the right doctors and nurses there, the expertise to save my life, I wouldn't be alive and even pursuing the American dream. When I was in college, I debated. I knew I wanted to do something in science, but I was not sure which direction. So I decided to volunteer at a hospital, 6 months in the emergency room, and then about 2.5 years in the neonatal intensive care unit. So intensive care for tiny babies who are born premature. And there I learned how to feed and hold babies and just see like the way doctors and nurses spend their day. And it just reminded me of the story I grew up learning about how I was saved by doctors and nurses in the refugee camp. So if you ask me the drive, it's not one moment, but kind of over time. Yes.
So, what is your specialty?
It's pediatric gastroenterology.
Wow.
People say GI if you don't want to say the whole word. And that requires, the college and then 4 years of medical school. I did a double residency. So I did 4 years of a combined internal medicine and pediatric residency, then 3 years of pediatric GI fellowship. So the funny thing is in high school, I remember thinking I didn't want to be a doctor because it would take too long. And then I ended up doing more than I ever thought.
Wow. What an accomplishment.
Well,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your books. You've wrote a couple of books. Who is it for, and what motivated you to write those books?
So my very first book is called Live to Give, and I have a copy here.
Mhm.
And the subtitle is An Inspirational Memoir About Freedom, Faith, and Selflessness. So this was published December 1st of 2020. And it was something I worked on for over a 10-year period. As you know, in my medical training, I didn't have a lot of time to just sit and write for hours and months, right? So whenever I was inspired by a story or a memory, like spending time with my family or just a topic or an interaction with people, I would write down how I felt about it. And then it would become like, one day it'll be a book. I just had this dream that it'll be a book. I just didn't know how it was going to all come together. And I realized that over the 10-year period, it was all about inspiring people to be giving. And that's why the title came. I also felt that we need more generosity in the world. When we have generosity, it's a fruit of gratitude. So gratitude, it really breeds joy in our life. And we're joyful, we find a way to, be generous. And we're generous, it also improves our wellness. So I share a lot of stories of my journey as a refugee coming here, growing up, and the experiences I had as a refugee, the poverty, the challenges of assimilating, learning a new language, not having, parents who could guide me. And I had to find mentorship to make that happen. Also, my journey to forming a nonprofit to help children who struggle with weight management, and also opportunities throughout my life where I felt called by God to, interact with people who are coming to me for help. Also, people who helped me and my family to achieve, the journey that we've been able to pursue over a lifetime. So I feel like every time I wrote a story or shared a concept, it's not about expecting the reader to agree with everything I have to say, but it may inspire, one story may inspire somebody to say, I can do it too, or I don't have to be a victim. I can be a victor. And that's really the purpose of this first book, is Live to Give.
Okay.
And then from there, people would encourage me, you should train to be a speaker and share your story, because they would read those things and they felt like somebody's gonna be so inspired by the stories you share about your life and other people's lives. So through, speaking and training and doing podcasts and doing speaking engagements on stage, I met with other authors and got invited to write 2 other books that were co-authored. And this one was published in January of 2023. And it's called The Confidence of Yes, with 11 other women. Each of us wrote a chapter, really sharing like why we said yes to what we do, right? And that they can do it too. That's our purpose. All women authors. And then this other book, the third one, is called Overcoming Mediocrity, Epic Women. And it's part of a series called Overcoming Mediocrity, published in October of 2023. And I have a book signing April 20th of 2024 at Barnes & Noble in Rockford. So I think that once you interact with people that have the same passion to write or speak, you suddenly have collaboration, not necessarily because they have the same genre or beliefs or story, but each story has an impact on people in different ways, right? That's why I love what you share in your podcast, because those are the types of guests that you have an interest in hearing those stories, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So where can the listeners get a copy of your book? It's 3 books. I know you have a book signing at Barnes and Nobles, you said, coming up
Yes.
on the 24th. Is it the 24th of April?
20th of April.
20th
April
of
20th,
April.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
great.
a Saturday in
Okay.
Rockford, Illinois.
Okay.
Yep. So I have a website, mdkatrina.com. So M like Mary, dkatrina.com. And on there is a symbol that looks like the book. You click there, you see all 3 of my books there. It's the easiest way to find it. It's available on Amazon, 2 of the books, and then the other one is available on a different website. But I put it all together on my website, so it's easy to find. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your website address again?
M like Mary, D like dog, KATRINA.com.
And do
So
you
MD.
Oh, great. Do you have any speaking engagements in the future? Or you said you do speaking engagements. Do you have any upcoming speaking engagements? Or if somebody wants to schedule you, do they go on your website to do that? How do they get in touch with you to do something like that?
Yes, on my website, there's an option also for speakers. So I share different podcasts I've been on. And if they want to book a speaking engagement, they can also reach out to me by sending me an email from the website or give me a call. I also have my phone number on my website as well. I do have a couple of speaking engagements coming up, April 8th and April 10th. And sometimes I speak on topics related to pediatric GI, sometimes related to childhood obesity and my nonprofit, often because of my involvement in my faith and medicine. So there are topics on medical ethics and faith that will come up, and churches will book me for that purpose, or to share like the joy of generosity, which a lot of young people need to hear about that, the ways they can give back to society, and how it is not about how much money you have, it's about how much time you have and recognizing the talents you have to make a difference in the world. So I've spoken at high schools, for those reasons, just to inspire young people to see like how much talent and how much value they can bring to the world.
Wow, nicely said, Katrina. Do you have any last words for the listeners about overcoming adversity?
I think all of us, if we look at our lives, we can see adversity in daily things, right? Some of us have more adversity than others, but if we look forward and say, it doesn't matter, what happened in the past, don't make the past the reason why you can't move forward. It's important to identify people out there who can help you move forward. There are many people who've been through what you've been through to a certain degree, and they've gone through it and learned how to come through on the other side much more successful, and they can teach you those skills as well. So I encourage that anytime you feel like you're not moving forward in your life, your career, your faith, your personal challenges, your grief, your mourning, whatever it is that you're going through, there's always someone who's been through it and have been successful. So that is my encouragement for overcoming adversity, overcoming mediocrity, through finding talent and time in your life. And that by using that, you will bring joy, have more gratitude, and hope for the future.
Do you also do like a mentoring program? Do you like mentor young people?
I mentor medical students because I'm an associate professor at University of Illinois College of Medicine. So anytime students have an interest in my field, I am available for that. When I work through my nonprofit, young people reach out to me in different ways, sometimes as a patient, but sometimes just to talk to me on a Saturday when I'm working out with them at the gym, or I'm teaching them how to prepare a healthy meal, or taking them grocery shopping and teach families that they can shop healthy on a budget. So those are kind of just motivating opportunities that it's not necessarily in a formal setting. And most of the time I do these mentorships for free because it's my way of giving back, right? It's not all about making an income. It's finding ways to make an impact. And people forget that, right? It's not, you get blessings and it's enough, right? It's enough to make an income. Find ways to make an impact because that's actually going to bring more joy to your life than anything else.
That's great, Katrina. I'm happy that you get into the community and you help the people of the community and you do what you do. You have the nonprofit and you're doing a great job. Continue what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for being on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Beauty of Colors podcast. We hope you enjoyed the program, and for more information, be sure to visit www.cleannejohnson.com.